Hey guys, Hank here. Today we're going to be discussing some of the most common myths and misconceptions, things that people just flat out get wrong or the data is completely misinterpreted on. So we're going to break all of those down today, so stay tuned. All right, guys, so today I just want to talk about some things that keep coming up that people either just don't understand or don't take the time to research, whatever it might be. And so I'd like to kind of put some of these to bed. And so first thing, Kegels are evil. So yes, I'm basically to blame because I made a video, which I'll put up here, and it says stop doing Kegels, because people historically in the PE community, there'll be like a routine, and for some reason in like the pumping routine, it'll say, while you're pumping, do sets of Kegels. And it's like, for what reason, guys? So Kegels are not inherently bad. And if you actually watched my video, I say that very clearly in the video. It's just people read the title and want to sound off in the comments. And so they are effective, guys, especially for certain type of erectile dysfunction, people recovering from certain types of pelvic floor injuries, and even like people recovering from surgeries. The key thing is they need to be guided by basically an expert. And so here's a paper here that actually shows when done correctly, Kegels are very effective. So where do problems come in? Problems come in, number one, because all of these like thought leaders are like, just do Kegels, do Kegels. What's the guy's name? Good looking losers like, oh, do sets of Kegels. It's like, no, guys, you don't need to do Kegels like that. Most guys do Kegels with every kind of ejaculation. Just being like stressed, you will sometimes just clench your pelvic floor. So no, you don't need to just be doing Kegels, okay? When you do Kegels, you need to maximize your pelvic floor stretching with that, because in order to have a healthy, balanced pelvic floor, you want it to be able to contract and relax fully. So if you're only focusing on contracting that pelvic floor and not relaxing it, that's what leads to actual pelvic floor dysfunction. And so if you want to do Kegels, fine, but you just need to make sure that you do something like a pelvic floor stretching routine. If you haven't seen my Kegels video, I go through my pelvic floor stretching routine at the end of that video. So check it out, okay? So what's another common, what I would say myth or misconception, is that N-acetylcysteine can prevent muscle growth, okay? And so I have a whole video, guys, of the role of potential for N-acetylcysteine. So basically what it comes down to is when you look at actually some of the like pharmacologic drugs that are using N-acetylcysteine, that it has kind of inhibitory effects on like the mTOR protein synthesis pathway. So people are kind of coming to the conclusion that, oh, well, if you're inhibiting mTOR, then that's going to prevent you from building muscle. Like, no, guys, it's not. So there are actually several studies that have actually looked in certain aspects at this exact same question, okay? But what they found is that supplementation can actually improve exercise performance, delay fatigue, the underlying mechanisms of which are sometimes a little unclear, but you still can have an exercise benefit, guys, okay? It helps in the setting of recovering from an injury. It actually helps promote muscle synthesis. Like, no, guys, so look, if you are like literally a professional top tier bodybuilder where every like percentage of a fraction matters and you're concerned about this, then yeah, like maybe it's possible that it could potentially like slightly decrease if you're already like at that competitive, like super high level, guys. But for guys like, you, or at least guys like me, where I'm just trying to basically look good naked, like it's not going to make a difference. And for some people it can actually help because of the antioxidant effects. You can actually have improved recovery, so you can actually go harder the next day, guys. And if you don't believe me, maybe you'll believe Reddit, guys. There's this sub here that was talking about, oh my gosh, does NAC affect muscle growth? And no, is basically what they concluded. And several people were like, it's actually helped me with my muscle growth. And so, no, guys, you don't need to worry about protein synthesis, and you don't need to worry about muscle inhibition with N-acetylcysteine. All right, so here's one that I see too. Citrulline doesn't work. And what the F? Like, yes, it does. Look, it's been proven in science. Here's a post right here when we're talking about improving erectile function specifically. Yes, it works. So who is this not going to potentially work for? Guys, if you're a young, otherwise healthy person, you're in your, maybe late teens, early 20s, your erectile quality is already through the roof, and you take citrulline, it's probably not going to make a difference, just like if you were to take Viagra or something. Like, nope, probably not going to make a difference because your quality is already so good. It's like if your quality is already 100%, you can't get past 100%. And so it does work. The reason why I recommend it, if you haven't seen my full video on it, I made a whole video about why I recommend citrulline, guys. The reason why I recommend it is because of the protection from basically damage from the micro trauma and trauma of PE and the protection of your endothelial function, okay? Injury prevention, guys. That's why I feel so strongly about it. That's why I recommend it. And that's why I literally created Vigor, with BD, because we had a specific formula for that, guys. But it does work. I mean, let's just stop. I don't want to hear that again, okay? Another thing kind of along this theme is actually, oh, well, arginine works better for me than citrulline does. It's like, no, it doesn't. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what does or doesn't work for you guys. But, there's no question. There's medical literature, guys. Arginine. Look, I have a whole video on citrulline and nitric oxide supplements. If you haven't seen it, you really should watch it because I break down all the data. But basically, there's something that's called first pass metabolism. When you take straight arginine, it gets broken down and processed by your gut and by your liver. And so you have about 20% bioavailable. So as you see in this paper, citrulline is actually more effective at having increased arginine blood levels than arginine is for exactly that reason. Now, what could explain somebody saying, oh, well, I took citrulline and it didn't work, and I took arginine and it did work? I don't know, maybe the doses that you used, and certainly there could be outliers that, maybe they have some genetic changes to their enzymes where they don't have as much first pass metabolism and arginine is more effective. I don't know what to tell you guys, but it's just asinine to say that arginine is more effective than citrulline, okay? Now, that being said, there are certain types of arginine, like what we have in Vigor, that is actually attached to different molecules that make it more bioavailable. But that being said, the main component is still citrulline. So, arginine is not as effective as citrulline, kind of period. The end. All right, and this is the one that I see the most and that, probably drives me the crazy. I'm not going to be unhinged Hink on this one, but this shit does get really annoying, guys. You cannot get dependent on Viagra. You can't. You cannot get physically dependent on Viagra, okay? Please stop asking and stop saying this. Now, that being said, could you get perhaps psychologically addicted to it? Meaning, it's kind of like guys that are on steroids, okay? They go on a steroid cycle and they go to the gym and they lift weights and they look bigger than ever and they're stronger than ever and they get addicted to that feeling of being stronger than what's in their natural physiology. So then they come off steroids and it's not like they're weak, they're just not as strong as they used to be, and that can kind of play games with your head. It's kind of similar with Viagra. If you don't have 100% erection quality and you go on Viagra and it does take you to 100% erection quality, you're gonna like being, diamond hard. Whereas if you come off of it and normally you're at 90% and you're back down to that 90%, but you're used to being 100%, that's gonna seem like you have lost function, but you haven't. It's just that you're back down at your normal baseline, okay? Another very important thing to keep in mind, guys, is that there are studies. So this is a study looking at Cialis and low-dose chronic uses of Cialis. What it showed is that guys who were taking it chronically low doses for a long period of time had improved erectile function after they came off the Cialis. So long-term Cialis use actually led to improvements long-term in their erection quality even after they came off of the medication. If you are taking it for the reasons that I've broken down in my different videos on PDE5 inhibitors, part 1 and part 2, you're not going to get physically dependent on it and you could have long-term benefits from it. That's all I'm going to say about that for right now, guys. You're not going to be dependent. Please stop saying that, okay? And there's even all the guys are like, oh, I don't want to get psychologically addicted to it. It's like, guys, there's really not at least scientific literature that I can find that shows that that actually happens. Yes, it makes sense logically that one could become psychologically dependent upon it. But if you actually look at the data, the published literature, they don't mention that, okay? All right, and so we're not going to spend too much time on these next ones just because it's like, I can't believe this still comes up. But, of course, if you go on a joke for you and they're still going to say that clamping works, pumping doesn't. It's just not true, okay? They both work. I made a whole video, pumping part 1 and part 2, okay? The key thing with pumping is you have to do it correctly. If you just go in flaccid and pump up, you're just gonna get a swollen, bloaty edematous D, and no, you are not gonna have permanent gains. It's gonna be just a temporary enlargement. You need to follow what I've laid out in my pumping part 2 video. I'll link it below, and that's how you can actually get permanent gains. It's just completely asinine that somebody would argue that clamping works and pumping doesn't, in my opinion. I'm not trying to fire shots at anybody, but I think it's stupid. I do. I think it's absolutely stupid if you say that. So, rest days, okay? Either rest days are always necessary or rest days are never necessary. It seems to be kind of extremes that I see. What is my take on it? Well, BD actually breaks down some of the collagen science and looking at collagen strain and some of the literature that he's extrapolated from. You guys should check out his videos, check out his post, because he does a nice job with this. My personal take on this, I haven't researched as much as collagen strain and stuff as he has, is that I think it depends, guys. For me, right now, when I'm doing maybe 15 to at the absolute max 30 minutes of PE a day, I don't feel like I need a rest day. I just don't. That's not that much. So I'm doing 15 minutes of work, and then I have 23 hours and 45 minutes to recover from that work. I don't think I need to rest an entire another 24 hours to recover from that, especially when I'm not doing overly strenuous things. That being said, if you have a regimen and your regimen is 90 minutes long and intensive and involves things like clamping, then yeah, you probably do need time off. I mean, to me, that's kind of just common sense. I don't know. I mean, and you can also gauge based on your erectile quality. And so if you have poor erectile quality after your episode or after your exercise, you probably want to rest until you can recover from that. It's why do people try to make this so hard? I don't know. And then, of course, fapping or no fapping. I still don't understand how this question comes up no less than at least 2 to 3 times a week on our subreddit. Guys, I made videos part 1, 2, and 3, and it's I'm tired of I'm tired of stupid people. I guess I'm hot tank heat today, but I'm tired of stupid people that just have their feelings and feel so strongly and completely ignore actual science or completely misinterpret science, okay? If you are trying to get bigger, it does not matter if you fap or not, okay? That's kind of the bottom line. If you do it too much, yeah, that actually could limit your actual erectile function. It can also, once again, guys, believe it or not, I have lots of clients that have injured themselves and are contacting me for help from just overly aggressive masturbating for years and years and years. So masturbation is not as benign as so many people like to make it out to be. That being said, if you abstain completely from it, it's not going to be helpful. I break down the science, guys, in my videos, especially part 3, where I go a little unhinged, which I'll link below, but ultimately it doesn't matter. Now, porn is horrible for you, okay? It is. If you disagree with me, cordially F you, you're wrong. Porn is horrible for you, okay? And so I think that, if you're going to do it, you should not be doing it to pornography because that's addictive. It can absolutely destroy your dopamine system. And I think it is absolutely destroying the lives of countless young men that are growing up just completely out of touch with reality and have no idea how to even interact with real women. And that's why there's this loneliness epidemic in America. But that's neither here nor there, okay? But ultimately, the question, does it matter for gains? No, okay? My Patreon is Doc Hink, okay? It's Patreon/Doc Hink, okay? Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate you. Sorry if I'm on one again today. It's just I just become burnt out and almost a mix between infuriated and numb at answering these same damn questions over and over and over again. But anyways, hopefully this was helpful, guys. I appreciate you watching, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.